Play it out. We have somebody with us now, Congressman Steve King. He is a newly re-elected Republican from Iowa. He serves on the House Judiciary Committee. He has a strong sense of the pulse of his party, and he will have to be a player in any change that is to come. It is good to have you, as always. I am going to play the role of your constituent who is concerned that you are not putting me first. So let's play this out. How can you make me feel that you're going to do something for me this time, not just for you?
Well, the first thing I would say to my constituents is that government has been doing too much for people who aren't doing enough. We have 104 million Americans of working age who are not in the workforce. More of them need to come into the workforce and help carry the load. And so I'd challenge people to do that, step up as individuals. Let's increase the average per capita GDP of our people. We do that, everybody prospers. We have our responsibilities. And by the way, I'm going to work to restore the rule of law, and that'll give people safer streets and more jobs for Americans and legal workers.
What does that mean, increase the per capita GDP? I don't understand any of that. What are you saying? You want to raise the minimum wage? What are you going to do? How are you going to do that?
Put more people back to work. When we have, think of a family, and there's in this house we raised 3 brothers. You were talking about the families a little bit ago. If one of those brothers said, "I'm not going to clean my room, I want my brothers to do it, but I want my allowance anyway," that's the equivalent of 1/3 of our population workforce. So we need to take that hammock that used to be a safety net, ratchet it back down gradually till it becomes a safety net again, and get more people to work in that fashion. And we need to enforce the rule of law, and that opens up more jobs for Americans and American workers.
So you're saying
American citizens and green card holders.
All right, so wait, hold on. So let me get straight what you're saying.
Yeah.
I got you. The first thing you're saying is you want to cut entitlements, right? That's what you're saying. The hammock into the safety net. You're saying cut entitlements. And then you're saying if you're not legal,
Chris,
you shouldn't be working. That's what you're saying.
That's correct.
Okay.
There are 80 different means-tested federal welfare programs. Let's put it all under one committee, consolidate those so that they're rational, and then we can take a look at how it moves people in the right direction. And yes, open up these jobs for American workers and for legal workers, green card holders.
Okay. When you look at the leadership, they come out, they write the op-ed saying, we will overturn Obamacare. Not a good starting point, not achievable right now, right, because you're not going to get a veto-proof majority. Why start that way? That's not nice. That's not a nice way to start this new environment of working together, is it?
You know, every Republican that I know of ran on the full repeal of Obamacare. There were more ads run on the full repeal of Obamacare than anything else. The voters have spoken. The Republicans are going to listen to the people that voted, and the president seems to be listening to what he thinks the people said who were not voting. That's not the American way. But here's the strategy: is this, that we need to look at Obamacare itself as a giant jigsaw puzzle that's framed. And if we send the repeal of that to the president's desk, and we can do that, yes, he will veto it. Then he has to return it to the House of Origin with his objections. That's a constitutional requirement if he abides by it. Then we take the pieces of that jigsaw puzzle apart, and we send the repeal of them a piece at a time to the president's desk, such as the medical device tax would be one. The 30-hour work week would be another. We could go on with this until we at least get Obamacare shrunk down to where.
But you know what the objections are going to be.
The stage for full repeal.
You know, Congressman, and you know, our audience knows you a little bit, but they should know you're quite the tactician. You know what the objections are going to be. Why start at a position of conflict instead of compromise? Come with a bill and say, we want to get rid of these parts of Obamacare instead of saying we're going to kick out the whole thing. Why not do it that way?
We're pledged and committed to kick out the whole thing. We need to just put the marker down from the beginning. That's what we've all said we want to do. That's what the people say they want to have happen. If the president vetoes it, let's see how these votes are. There is that chance that Obamacare is so unpopular that the Senate Democrats, who are up for election in 2016, may decide, you know what, it's time to give this thing up and move on and put together a health care system that actually does the things that we all want it to do. We want people to be able to keep their doctors. We don't want their premiums to go up. We don't want them to lose their policy. We want to take care of people that have pre-existing conditions with a better program. I want to be able to buy and sell insurance across state lines. I want everybody to have full deductibility of all of their health insurance premiums, not just some people, everybody. The list goes on. And Chris, if I could can say my favorite bill, if we could get to this point and get it done, I would like to take health savings accounts and expand them into life management accounts so that people could then build up in their HSA enough that they could arrive at retirement with enough money to purchase a Medicare replacement policy paid up for life and keep the change tax-free as a pension program. We can do that if we can repeal all of Obamacare.
All right, I can't let you go without giving you opportunity to talk about something that is certainly high on your list of priorities. This news that the president or somehow someone in the U.S. government reached out through Iraq or directly to Iran and started talking about how they can work together in the war against ISIS. How do you feel about that, Congressman?
It makes me very, very uneasy. Even when I hear you say it, I can just feel myself knot up thinking about the president's comment to Medvedev here. After the election, I'll have more flexibility. This, and then we saw Ukraine annexed, or parts of Ukraine annexed. Here we have a situation where the most dangerous enemy we have is Iran. And we've watched as North Korea has moved continuing towards a nuclear capability, but they seem to be a bit of a rational regime. And that's hard to actually say, but I'm comparing them to Iran. And our biggest danger is Iran nuclear. In spite of ISIS, in spite of Syria, that's our biggest danger. We need to contain them. And these back-channel negotiations generally end up with being signals of weakness that empower the enemy. And while this conflict's going on in that region, it does provide cover for Iran to accelerate their nuclear efforts. They're not our partner, they're not our friends, and we don't need them to fight ISIS. I think that that's a flaw in the president's rationale. One more
reason. Go ahead, say it. Make your point, Congressman.
Further, I say we should arm the Kurds, give them the heavy weaponry they need, all the air power, and our special forces on the ground for close air support. Let the Kurds carve out their area in that part of the world. That's our best start to defeating ISIS.
Well, I'll tell you what you're calling for? A full debate and vote on how this war is being conducted. The Constitution says it's your job to declare it. Hopefully you guys take that on early and often. We look forward to that. Representative King, thank you very much for joining us on New Day, as always.
Thank you, Chris.